Welcome to Just Another Podcast, another episode here on, recording today. It's Tuesday, but we'll be out Wednesday. I'm welcoming a good friend of mine, Jay Cochran, who is a local tattoo artist, but also is co-owner of the Bangor Comic and Toy Con, as well as just a great all-around dude. Welcome, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
We've now talked to my dad. We've talked to my buddy Josh Moulton from Queen City Cinema Club. And Jay is now our third guest. So we just thought I'd get him on here, talk a little bit about how tattooing and touch on some Bangor Comic Con stuff and what's going on there. But we'll start off with just, saying hi and hanging out for a little bit. I mean, you've been at home now in Maine. Obviously, you live in Maine as well. And you've been at home basically since what, middle of March?
March 24th was when I officially got done my last day at work. Yeah.
So it's just been at home, hanging out with the dogs, hanging out with Miles and your fiance.
Yeah, today's 8 weeks. And it's like crazy. I can't believe how long it's been. And I'm jonesing. I tattooed myself and I've tattooed Kimberly. That's about as far as I've gotten with that, just because I'm like going stir crazy here,
Well, what was it earlier? My grandmother, my mimere, I turned 34 on Friday, and she sent me a check in the mail, $25 check. I was like, oh, that's nice of her.
Was it a $5 check?
I went to sign the check, and I was like, I haven't signed my name on anything. Like a credit card receipt, anything in 2 months, because all of it's been on like online or digital or whatever. And I went to sign my name, and I was like, oh crap, they're gonna think this is forged, because the signature was just like, that's not how I sign things anymore.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy.
Yeah, so people aren't taking the time to really care about stuff like that, to have you like worry about signing it. Even when I bought beer, I'm wearing a mask, and I leave it on, honestly, to see if they'll ask me to take it off, and they don't. Like it's like you feel weird asking anybody to do it, so just like, yeah, you're good.
We are talking obviously about what we're gonna do at Orono Brewing Company for opening, and we talked about how it might be awkward, but we're gonna probably do. We'll put the credit card terminal out for you to stick your card in if you pay for your beer or your food or whatever. But But we might actually say that, hey, would you like to leave a tip for your server or bartender? And we'll type it in, because really no one's spending over $50 or $60 on a tab. So legally we don't have to have them sign for it. So we just might ask them, hey, would you like to leave a tip? Don't worry, no pressure, no nothing. We'll leave the tip on here and sign it and give you a receipt. But we don't want them touching the iPad, because that's just one more touch surface. But we got a letter in the mail from the state alcohol inspectors to be like, make sure you're checking people's IDs. Like, I think for a little bit, for about 8 weeks now, they've been like, we don't care. Now that we're like getting back to business, they're like, you need to check IDs.
Yeah. I'm sure that there was plenty of people that did take advantage and got through at some places for that. But yeah, it's weird times.
We delivered beer, and we're like, let's just, as long as someone at the door brings in and like you give them the beer on the porch and they show your ID and they're 21, there's not much else you can do. It's not like I have to be like, oh, everybody in here's 21. Are they actually your kid, or is it just a friend? Or I can't. There's not much you can do about it. So it's the same thing if you came into OBC and bought a 4-pack, but then went out to the car and gave it to a 16-year-old. I can't stop you from giving it to the 16-year-old. I can only give it to the point where I do my best at my spot. And so luckily with your business, you have to be of age, and you're going to be tattooing that person. So it's not like you're like, yeah, come on and pay for it, and then go home and someone tattoos someone else who's not of age. Like, you have that.
Yeah, right. That would be so bizarre.
like checking IDs, but then once they come in, they're just like, put your arm through a hole so you don't see who the person is.
Yeah, right. We talked about that before, where we need to have like a tattoo glory hole going on. I think people would be down, honestly, like as long as it was their leg or their arm or whatnot. And, obviously they know that they're going to trust the person that's on the other side, that they're going to get the tattoo that they want. But I think that we could actually do something with that. But where the hell would you do that? Like,
exactly.
where would you ever have it wouldn't, you couldn't have a drive-through. Like it would
It
still have
wouldn't
to
be a
be
drive-through.
inside.
It'd have to be like at your shop, but you'd have to like build like a bubble, like
A
like
room.
Seinfeld, the Bubble Boy or whatever. You'd have to have like where I forget his name. Who's the guy on the front? Rob, is that his name? Who's the other tattoo artist there other than Sam?
Oh,
You,
Rob. Yeah,
Sam, Rob. In that
Rob.
spot,
Yeah.
almost like that section is where the customer comes in, like to the front door, and
Yeah.
they come in like a plexiglass booth is there that they stick their arm through, and there's a plastic bag that you roll up or something like that over their arm, put their arm in there. It's already uncomfortable in some situations to get
I know.
tattooed. Can you
Right?
imagine getting tattooed through an armhole that you had to like lean in a certain way? That's dedication.
It would have to be like very specific. It'd be like you're only getting a tattoo on like this part of your
Mm-hmm.
arm, and it's only staying in this area, and it's got to be very straightforward. It would be like traditional tattoos basically, or live, laugh, love, or stuff like that.
The
That would
same
be awesome.
tattoo. That's it. You just do the same tattoo. It's a quarantine tattoo.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the same tattoo on the same part of their arm. That's the deal. It's $50. It takes you an hour to do it, and you're done. Like
Next thing you know, I've got religious people banging down my door because we're marking people for the apocalypse. Okay.
we gotta know the ones who went to the tattoo artist in the middle of the quarantine. Like we gotta know. Oh, you've got the mat marking on you. But so Jay and I go back. I mean, we go, back to the music scene in the Bangor area and so on. Back, we're
Long
roughly
time.
the same age. So,
I'd
but
say
we
for
also,
like 10
yeah, but we also know each other from Gagan's. I mean, that's where we really like re-struck up, like knowing
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
Is like when I moved back to Bangor in 2016. Jay and I was a customer for a while again, but then we also worked with each other at Gagan's for a little bit before Jay moved on. Honestly, it
Yeah.
was just prior or just after I moved on, honestly, because I think I came in and started doing more bar backing, and you left to go do tattooing in 2017, which is right around, I started in February 17 at OBC. So it would have been not that long after I left, but it was in 2017 that both of us were like, let's go do our own thing. And Jay went to tattooing and I just went to another brewery. But
yeah, but you definitely made the best of it because you weren't doing brewery stuff before Gagan's, were you?
I know I was doing marketing. And so I hadn't worked in anything that wasn't a private office since 2006. Like 2006, I worked at Best Buy in Circuit City and in retail.
Yeah.
And then I went and worked in an office for 7 years in Massachusetts. And then for almost a year in brewer at Down East Toyota. And before I came over, and there was an overlap there. I worked full time at the marketing or Down East Toyota, and like nights at Gagan's or doing bottling over at the brewery, working at the tasting room for Gagan's. But yeah, I think part-time barback and tasting room server to general manager of a brewery is a little bit of an upgrade.
Yeah.
I think things have turned out pretty well.
That's definitely how I feel about like when people, the old regulars and whatnot from Gagan's would ask me, do you miss it? It's like, I miss it because of the good times. There were good times, but I don't miss like the actual job. It's not like, that's not what like fueled me or made me, feel fulfilled or anything like that. And so it cracks me up the times that I've had a couple of people that there's something about tattooing that right now I even feel like it more, that it's like it's not taken as seriously. So I have people that are like, yeah, like, I'm glad tattooing's working out for you, but I bet Gagan's would take you back if you ever wanted to go back there. And I'm just like, did I give you the impression that I'm not doing well or something, like that I'm failing at what I'm doing? Like, I don't know what it is, because then in the same regard, it's like those same people don't feel like you do tattooing as like a full-time job. So they'll ask for a tattoo and I'll be like straight up, I had an experience like this and I wanted to beat my head against the wall. Yeah, I don't work Thursdays and Fridays, but I can book an appointment for you any other day of the week. Perfect. I don't work Thursdays and Fridays, so that would work great for me. And I was like, no, I don't work Thursday, Fridays, so I don't work on those days. Yeah. No, that's great, because I have Thursday and Friday off, so then I'd be able to come in and blow. And I was just like, okay, I don't know what you're missing here. Like, I don't work another job and then I have Thursday, Friday off and I tattoo on my days off. Like, those are my days off from tattooing. Like,
And
the
so,
person's just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, it just was like bouncing off of their forehead, everything I was saying. But
and whether
yeah,
you believe it or not, my dad dealt with that thing too. Like when my dad decided to become a pastor,
oh yeah, I bet.
yeah, my grandparents and other people like in the family, like his best friends he grew up with all along playing music at bars and things, places like that, were like, yeah, but what are you gonna do for money? But I was like, no, I'm trying to go into this. I don't want to make millions of dollars. I want to go into it because he wanted to go into it and pay his own bills and let my mom and dad have food on their table and support us
Right.
kids as younger people. But like still to this day, I think my grandfather's still like, so when is this like, fad gonna be over? When are you gonna go get a real job? And I'm like, same thing with me. I mean, it's like you work at a bartender, yes, but as a general manager, I'm like, no. Like I do okay. Like I am able to, I'm getting married this summer. We're able to pay for the wedding, and then I have a nice apartment and we have a nice car. It's like I'm not just this like working 20 hours a week bartender. I have a full-time job. This is my career.
Right.
And so I can understand the tattooing thing. You're like, oh, you do that on the side, right? You work full-time and like on your lunch breaks, you pull into the tattoo artist place and do a tattoo.
Yep. Yeah,
But,
all the time, man. It's like that, and I don't know what it is about the job where people also, it's almost like they feel like you're coin operated, or we're all just waiting, like sitting there waiting for somebody to come in and give us something to do, is like straight up what it feels like. But I don't know, maybe other jobs deal with it, but I only did retail, and I waited tables for like 10 years. So I only really know that side. And then now tattooing, which is obviously a completely world than any of that stuff. So I don't know if like other people in different jobs deal with the same thing as far as, what's the best example? Like clearly you're busy, but you call right up. You're like, hey, it's not like, when are you free? It's, hey, I'm free tomorrow. I'd like to come in. And you're just like, okay, well, I'm not free tomorrow. So
I mean, and it wasn't me on obviously schedules have to align for a lot of us because of the fact that, you're trying to live your life with your fiance and your son, and we're trying to live our lives. So like days off don't always match, but like, I know trying to get in with you and trying to get a tattoo, it's not as simple as me being like, I'm free next Thursday. It's like, it's not a haircut. A haircut takes 15 minutes with no prep. My barber has to sweep off the chair really quickly and go to town. There's no prepping the tattoo or cleaning all the like sterilizing. I mean, now they have to sterilize a little bit more, but like sterilizing the whole area for your bloodborne pathogen stuff and making sure that when we did this tattoo, you had to go over and pick colors for 5 minutes. It's not like you're just available and ready to go and we're sitting down. It's a process. So getting a tattoo is a 3 or 4 hour, for most tattoos, or like for a good sized tattoo, is a 3 or 4 hour process that has you potentially working the night before at your house on your iPad, making sure that this sketch is out right so that you can print it at work the next day or whatever. So it's like, it's not as simple as, banging people out. It's, you may only do 2 or 3, maybe 2 tattoos a day. And even when you're allowed to open, you're likely only going to be able to do 1 a day. And
probably.
So it's
well,
if you're trying to fit in
100
clients, it's gonna be 100 days. It's not as simple like.
Well, the way that I see it is, even if we get to open back up on July 1st, my summer's booked, because I was already booked for 2 months with 2-3 tattoos a day before this happened. So now, if we're gonna have to stagger our schedules and we can only have 1, maybe 2 clients in a day, that 2 months of people right there is going to take me so long to book. And then like, besides all that, and like, once again, anybody watching this, like, I'm definitely not bitching about being busy, but it's just like, there's not enough hours in the day.
Well, you're in an industry in a art form that is not as simple as a restaurant where we found other places to eat. So like, over the past 2 months, yes, Orono Brewing Company has lost a bunch of business because we haven't been able to be open. But that business is not like all those people who weren't here for 2 months had to wait until July or whenever we open up sometime in June, hopefully,
Right.
to eat. It's like they fulfilled their duties before that. So like you're not taking the people that you got in 2 months and shifting them. It probably is the same people. So the 2 months of people that didn't come are just going to come again.
Yeah.
But with you, it's like you haven't been able to actually tattoo anybody who had an appointment. So all those 2 months of appointments now have to be shifted. So if I was talking to you and been like, hey man, I want to get a tattoo June 1st or say July 1st, I'm likely going to get shifted to September 1st because the 2 months that you missed is, in that spot. And so either that or you work 7 days a week and you don't have a life for the entire summer trying to get all these people caught back up. Most of us are like, whatever, man, do what you need to do. Not that you have any pain in the ass customers, because you don't, right? But I talked to Gordon, my barber, and I was like, get all those people in first. The people who are hounding at your door to get something done, like, because they can't survive without it. Get those people in first. Get the people, obviously, that you have needed or have scheduled get those people in first. And then those people who are really just being a pain up your ass to get a tattoo now. I want a tattoo now. Yeah. And then I'll talk to you at some point. I mean, when we get a chance or you have a free time or you're like, hey, Kimberly's busy this day. I wasn't going to work this day, but I'll come in and do something. We'll do that. Yeah. Like that's the, those are the kind of things I'm like, I wasn't one of the ones online during this quarantine, but like open up hairdresser so I can get a haircut. And, so I'm ready. I want you open
Friday.
I want you opening so you're making money. That's why I want you open. Yeah. I don't care about me getting a tattoo. As long as you're bringing a revenue stream in for yourself, that's why I want you to open up. It's not because I want you to open up because I need ink on my arm. I just want someone to have ink on their arm.
Well, and I appreciate it. I mean, because that's like been the hardest thing is sitting here and swallowing that pill where it's like, I understand people want to say essential this, essential that. But to me, essential is feeding my family and paying our bills. And I realize that my job doesn't constitute as that to whoever, but it doesn't change the fact we're still three humans that live in this household that need to take care of stuff. And I gotta say, like maybe some people disagree with me. It actually has blown my mind how many people have actually told me that they do not agree with my business opening back up. And I just am floored. I'm like absolutely floored by where I'm at right now. Like I was like living on top of the world, man, for like 2 months. For the first time in my life, I was ahead of my bills. I had savings. I was just like stressed. I wasn't itchy because I wasn't stressed. And it's just like, it just stopped. It just completely stopped, and like, I try to find the silver linings in a lot of stuff because there are a lot of silver linings in this, at least in my life personally. One, I get to spend the most time I've spent with my son one-on-one. I mean, it's probably almost equal to as long as he's been alive. He's 2.5 years old, and I was working full-time that whole time. And now for 8 weeks straight, I've been home. We go and do day trips and stuff, but I'm here. I'm the one that's like, Kimberly works a couple days. She has she has like 4 days off a week. But like waking up, taking care of them, putting them in bed, all that. And I'll never get that back. So, for that part, I love that. Fitness, I'm actually like the healthiest I've been in 3 years ever since becoming a dad. I've taken advantage of the quarantine part, and I've actually been working out. Kimberly and I both have been kicking ass on workout routines. Doing housework, stuff that I just never had time to do. We've been busting so many projects out at the house. So, that stuff's great. But then there's like the real world stuff that's happening.
Well, it's like that aspect of you saying doing day trips or fixing the house up or whatever. At some point, there's no more money replenishing what you're spending the money on to do things.
Right.
And the only people that I somewhat agree with when they say you shouldn't open up is the people who say no one should be open. Like, it's like if you're going to open something, if you're going to open hairdressers because a hairdresser is essential because you need a haircut. I'm sorry. I went this entire quarantine. I did 2 haircuts during this time with a pair of clippers I had in my thing. They were old. My ex was a hairdresser and she had some leftover ones from her original like kit. that I just kept over the years. I was like, this is easy. It wasn't easy to do, but it was like, I did it. And if I didn't want to do a haircut, it's not like I'm going to be, you know, people are going to be ashamed of me or anything like that. It's, you know, it's
Right.
not that hard to maintain your own physical appearance by yourself. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to get a styled haircut, but I wear a hat most of the time anyway.
Right.
But the idea that I can understand someone saying you shouldn't be open because no one should be open. Okay, then that's a different story. But if you shouldn't be open because you're not essential, but yet, you know, we won't get political or religious on this, but Hobby Lobby can be open, then that's a little bit of it's a weird thing. I understand grocery stores and Walmarts and Targets because people need to live. But yeah, I can understand, like, we are getting this part right now. I just spoke with Abe at work earlier this afternoon or this morning, and we're in a spot weirdly in the brewing industry is that, you know, there's like 40%, 50% of the restaurants and breweries across the state are restaurants and breweries.
Right.
You know, your Gagans, your Sebagos, your Masons, your OBCs. But the other part, your Marsh Island Brewing Company, your other, like the guy across the river, Blank Canvas Brewing Company, Black Bear Brewing Company, those are just tasting rooms. So they fall into the category of bars. So legally, we're allowed to open June 1st at Orno Brewing Company because we're a restaurant.
Yeah.
But tasting rooms and bars can't open until July 1st. Yet there are about a good portion, Bissell Brothers, Definitive Brewing Company in Portland. Those places have massive footprints that can do social distancing better than some restaurants, you know, breweries or restaurants that have smaller buildings that can't do as good as social distancing. And so there's this disagreement in the brewing industry that, you know, we're allowed to open a month before another place is allowed to open, and they can do the same, you know, restriction and duties that we can do. So the Brewers Guild, I think, is working on a case by case basis, like how many square feet do you have, and, you know, it's the same thing with you guys. If you had 3 people in your tattoo studio and you had 10,000 or you had X amount of square feet, but there were 6 people in a studio that's smaller than yours, they should do different regulations for you guys. Like, it shouldn't be that, you know, Rob and Sam can work, or you and Rob can work because you guys are distanced away from each other. Or, you know, even if you have to use Sam's station so that 2 of you guys can work at the same time, as long as your 2 customers are 6 feet apart from each other a lot of times. But if you go to a different studio and their stations are all on top of each other, then it's like, well, maybe only 2 of you guys can work at a time. Sorry.
Yeah.
There should be less black and white and more like applying for your job, your studio to open back up, and not just like, because you're a tattoo artist and tattoo studio, you can't open back up. It's kind of, I mean, I saw someone hug each other at the grocery store yesterday. Like, these 2 people that came in separately hugged each other, and it's like, they're physically touching each other with skin to skin contact. You need to at least wear gloves when you're doing it, so you're not even touching a person. And it's I mean, you're not going to look forward to wearing a mask when you're doing it. I mean,
but you know, it doesn't bother me. We started doing that before. Like, that's another thing, is like getting case to case, and that's why I could talk till my face is blue about it, because Sam, Rob, and I have been so respectful and cautious about this from when it really started to hit. Before it was like mandated, you know, because we both have families, so of course we were thinking, like, we got to think about our families and make sure that we're not carrier type things. So we started locking the door. We started minimalizing. You couldn't bring anybody with you. If you were coming to get a tattoo, it was just you. We started wearing masks and things like that. And then it all got mandated. And so, again, like, that's where it's aggravating, because you're like, okay, so before any of this, we're all bloodborne pathogen certified. We all were licensed by the state health inspectors to make sure that we act accordingly. We wear gloves in between everything. I change my gloves constantly. We wash our hands. We spray everything down anyways. And now, like you said, okay, we're willing to stagger our appointments. I already volunteered for nights. I know Rob is a morning guy. Sam tends to come in the afternoon, and I've always been the guy that's there late at night. So we're willing, if they won't let us all 3 tattoo at the same time, we're willing to take shifts throughout the day. Again, keep the door locked. Text the person in their car when they can come in, when we're all set up and ready for them. Each one of our stations, actually, we have set up so we can pull curtains and things to section off our area. So we already have that under. It's 1,000 square feet, where at any time, at most, would be 6 people, but we could make it 2 people if we really needed to. with everything I just explained to you, but we're in phase 3
Mhm.
of all of it.
And one of the benefits I feel like we can look forward to, silver linings we talked about, because I also had Taylor's in the other room right now working, but I work Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, every weekend till 10 or 11, 12 o'clock at night, every weekend. She has Saturdays off. So the entire day Saturday, she's home alone or visiting her family, but I'm at work. The number of times she's gone to like a family function on a Saturday, and where's Justin? Oh, he's working. For the past 8 weeks, I've been here. I had to go to work in the morning every once in a while, but like every single night at 4:30 when she gets clocks out, maybe 5:30 for me, but we're done and we're home. And it's been that nice thing. But silver linings in this is that for you guys is that hopefully this is it. This is not like a new standard for you forever. Like this is one of those things that hopefully, at least if you can open July 1st, that you're allowed to do business from that point on, and then it will only get better hopefully for you guys. That it's not like this is new. Now forever you can only have one tattoo artist and a tattoo person in the building at the same time, and that could just screw up everything because
home studios immediately. Everybody would just open up a home studio immediately.
Which is just going to bring
like,
people into your house.
Yeah, well, like a separate, you know what I mean?
I know, but
like
still.
I would for sure, and I know Sam, like we both love each other like brothers, but if it came down to that, I know that's because that's like our business plan with each other is like we plan on always staying together with Forecastle, but we both have said the only way that we would like break apart is if we had like our own like home studio type deal. So I know he'd be on board for that, and that is what would probably happen. But I mean, you're right. There's so many things. There's positive and there's negative about like what's going on for sure, and things that I'm wondering are going to carry over. Curbside has been awesome. Are people just going to keep that because it's another added on thing? And to me, it kind of feels like when people start working on Sundays for the first time, like everybody had Sundays off and it was great. But that one guy was like, if I opened up on Sunday, I'd get all the business. And then another person's like, damn it, now I got to work on Sundays because he's getting all the business. So I feel like there's going to be things like that where it's like, well, they offer curbside. Why aren't you still offering it?
And that's one of the things one of the things we are talking about, obviously we had a meeting this morning talking about, we're getting close because we're part of phase 2. So we can actually be, or phase 2, right?
June is June, I believe.
We can be, as a restaurant, can be open in the beginning of June, but we're also not saying June 1st is the day. Like we're just saying to ourselves, like we can start opening June 1st. So let's figure things out. Are we going to open 5 days a week? Are we going to open 7 days a week? What are we going to do? And part of that is we've never done curbside pickup for food. So why would we all of a sudden risk our business model just to all of a sudden just thrust ourselves into it? So part of it is like other people have been successful at it because they had it at least in some form or fashion ahead of time. They're just doing more and they're better at it now. I mean, like, Gagan's, we talk about Gagan's, they had to struggle. They were so busy that they had to shut business down because it was just, they could not do it correctly. And so it's like some businesses are doing
because they couldn't like close, right? They weren't able to like, at the end of the night,
it was just
they were
like
so
everybody
orders.
I went to Oriental Jade. We got Oriental Jade pickup. I think we've done it twice now in the last 8 weeks. And I talked to Tim Lowe, and Tim Lowe was like, everybody's ordering 5 to 7. Everybody. He's getting more orders between 5 and 7 than he has seats in his restaurant. So, I mean, we're both in the restaurant industry, or what you were and I am. Can you imagine, like, when you're working at Gagan's, if the entire restaurant had people food in it? Plus, you know what it is like on a busy concert night there. It's insane. You're waiting an hour for seating. Exactly. Yeah. That's what it was like for 2 hours. More people were ordering food and wanting to pick it up at 5:15. So everybody wants to pick food up at 5:15. I mean, there's not enough people in the kitchen. Then you're just Gagan's guys were just like, we're fed up. We can't do this anymore. We have to just close up shop and do whatever. Hopefully they're opening tomorrow with some more structure. I think a limited menu, whatever they're going to do it well. But we went to Pompeii for my birthday, Pompeii Pizza downtown on Central Street. And we ordered pizza at 4:30. We weren't allowed to pick it up until 5:30. And it said call when you get here. We called 12 times, busy, because they're too busy taking people's orders. Yeah. So we got our food and it was unbelievable, but it was just, there is some things that hopefully will smooth out. When you have someone sitting in your restaurant, that takes away a slot for someone to do curbside. So those people who are healthy, aren't immune risk to getting the disease a little bit, or the illness easier, will go sit at the restaurant and eat, and leave that curbside spot open for the people who want to do curbside. So hopefully it works a little smoother. But it sucks for the industries like yours where there's no such thing as curbside. Like, it's like you're open or closed. There's no, we've been doing curbside and delivery for beer basically since we took 1 week off until we figured out what we were doing. But there was no backup plan for you guys. This is like,
no,
and open or closed. It's not.
Yeah, and I mean, just talking about, just talk about something that you're completely blindsided by, and it's just like, how do you even prepare for that? When they first talked about this coronavirus, everybody here was like, okay, it's in China. Like, okay, I hope they get through it. And then you're like, wait, I can't work. We're getting shut down because of this. You're just like, how did that get over here? Did you just like, wait, what?
And from the 16th or 17th, when a lot of restaurants and things closed, to the 24th, did you stop booking new appointments? Like, was there at least a week of like not booking someone for May or April, or
what date?
Like, you did the 24th, you guys closed. Like, that week prior, if I called you and said I want an appointment in April, would you have booked it? Or were you just basically saying, let's get through the schedule, what we have now?
No, see, that's the problem, is that in March, I was already booked through May.
Okay.
So I typically try to slow down. When I'm booked about 2 months out, I don't necessarily close my books, but I kind of just tell people, I'll get back to you when I can, and I try to catch up. And that's pretty much where I was with that. Okay. And then there was enough going on that we were talking about it at work and being like, I think this is actually going to start to affect us. And then I was going home, and Kimberly, I love her to death, but I've snapped at her a couple times because she is so in the know about the numbers and what's happening. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not that I don't want to be informed, but there's certain things that when I can't do a single thing about it, I don't want to hear about it, or I don't want to hear much about it. Like, I care about the things that I can control, my friends, my family, my health, things like that. I try to help people when I can, but obviously, you know what I'm talking about, just world pandemic stuff that I got no control over. I just want to be told, kind of the rules and when I can work and when I can't, and then leave us alone. And she is like right into it. So between her and Sam and the news, we were kind of getting prepared. And then we were like, well, maybe we should lower the traffic of people. And we started wearing masks. And then we kept the door locked, and we put up a sign like appointment only and all that. And then somebody, I think it might have been Sam or Kimberly, but somebody had said, like, I think they're gonna, like, we're actually getting shut down. Like, you're not gonna be allowed to work. And it was so hard for me to accept that. I could not wrap my head around actually being told that I could not go to work. I've worked since I was 16 years old. It's just what I do. It's what we all do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I kept saying to Sam, I'm like, okay, but if I don't work, I don't make money. You don't want me to work? And he's like, look, I know what you're saying, this and that. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm still going to work. I was like, I'm still going to come in and work. Like, what are they going to do? Shut me down? And he's like, I don't know, man. It's a slippery slope. I hear that they might, if you get caught, you're going to get a fine. You could lose your license. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to work. And he scared me so bad that it was the 24th was when it went into effect officially. And the 23rd that night was when I did my last tattoo. And I was like, I'm freaking out. If Sam's the one that owns the business and he's not going in, he's telling me that I shouldn't, I also feel like a total dick if I go in, and he's being like, dude, I'm not going to work. So I stopped. And it was like every day that went by, I was like, I'm not working. Like, I'm supposed to be at work right now. And I keep texting people. I'm like, hey, I'm not working, I guess. Like, I'm sorry, we got to postpone your appointment and all that. And anyways, it's just, and now it's 8 weeks today that I haven't worked, and we're still trying to figure out. And what sucks too, though, is like, you're talking about July 1st. And I guess I made an ambitious text to Sam because I was like, hey, if we're going to be open, if we are going to have to wait, I'm thinking in my head that we might be able to do it earlier because I'm so naive. he's like, if we do have to wait till July 1st, well, maybe we should get together some kind of meeting and talk about who we're going to schedule, how many people we're going to try to tattoo in a day, like what the regulations are, blah, blah, blah. That's when he was like, July 1st is a little ambitious. He's like, I want to think that we're going to be able to, but he was like, we have to get a letter from the state saying that we can open. And he said, I'm not necessarily sure we'll get that on the 1st. And he said they also have to put together their regulations for our shop specifically, or tattoo shops. And what happened with the hair salons, I guess, was that they didn't get that until May 1st. So nobody was prepared. So then it took a while for that. So he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I have a hard time believing that we're actually going to get to start on the 1st.
We got the restaurant one last week. So I think part of it was that they didn't know what the hell was going to happen in April. Like, it was like May 1st came, and I think even salons and like places along those lines were surprised they were allowed to open May 1st. Like, Gordon, my barber over at Cochran, messaged me like, okay, I'm going to get you in there. I bought a gift certificate at the beginning of this whole thing, and was like, let me get you in there. And I think and then the next day he was like, these regulations are too hard. I don't have unlimited number of masks and coverings and all this crap. And so he waited until he had the proper thing. But I think now that we're going into it, I feel like you guys might get tattoo stuff sometime at the beginning of June, letting you know what your regulations are going to be, because now they're in that process. Now there are people in offices going, okay, what's next on the list? Tattoo studios. Let's figure out what we're going to do for tattoo studios. What's next on the list? Okay, bars. But that kind of thing where I think they're getting and using a template. Like, they'll probably use a hair salon's template, you know what I mean, as a guide. They're touching people, and it's a little bit easier for you guys. I mean, if someone wanted a neck tattoo,
we probably won't do. That's probably going to be part of what we talk about. We probably won't do. I have a guy specifically that I had done this ram tattoo on, and we had his appointment was booked. It would have been like tomorrow, 8 weeks ago. And I was like, we have to postpone. But I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't know if I want to tattoo anybody's throat right now or anytime soon.
I mean, it has to be like arms, legs, whatever it is. But the cool thing, the best thing about you and working for a tattoo studio in this time is it's something you're super passionate about. This is not like, some of my bartenders who are coming back to work who just want to like some of them are just like, I don't care. I'm making good money on unemployment, but I just want to get back to work. It's not, they're just trying to get back to work so they make money and they're doing something. Like, you're passionate about this. Like, this is like Jay Cochran, the tattoo artist, is, you're in your 30s till the time you're 80. This is what you're going to be doing. You don't have there's no other plan from this. Like, there's no other plan for this. There's no, like, this is a stepping stone to the next thing I want to do. This is not, I'm going to cut hair through college and a little bit out of there so I can become an actress. This is Jay Cochran, the tattoo artist. Or you do it on the side and you're running a massive con. I mean, that's cool too. But like, the cool thing about it is you're passionate about it. My question, I guess I don't want to do interview style, but how did you get passionate in this? What made you want to become a tattoo artist? Because it's not for everybody, for sure.
It's actually kind of funny because it feels like I just realized, we've been shooting the shit for like almost an hour right there. And then it's like, how did you become a tattoo artist?
Well, I just think I want to go back on it because I feel like that is something like, it's not, I'm passionate about beer. That's why I'm in the beer industry. I don't think I would be a restaurant. I wouldn't run Seasons. Seasons isn't like passionate about their beer, nothing against them, but it's like they've got their Bud Lights and all that stuff on. I'd work for a Gagans or, or OBC or along those lines because they're passionate about the beer. That's why I work for this company. You don't just tattoo art because you can. You're a good artist, so you're like, okay, then I'll tattoo to make some money. You don't do that. You go into tattooing because you want to physically ink someone's arm. I mean, I know you used to do wood burning, and you were excellent at that, but obviously a piece of wood is different than a piece of flesh.
The wood burning was like in the middle though. It is kind of weird because like when I first started tattooing to a lot of people, it came out of nowhere. To Sam, it was one of those, like, I think he was very reserved because I was a waiter and a wood burn artist. And then all of a sudden I'm asking him to teach me how to tattoo. And it was one of those things where it's like, I was asking him really kind of to show me more like the correct way to go about it. Like I knew how to tattoo because the way beginning is my brother Brock has always done tattoos, but he's never worked in a shop. And not going into too much crazy stuff with him, but it was either at like house, I want to say house shows. That's how long I played music.
Yeah.
It was either like house parties doing tattoos there or extracurricular besides that. But when I want to say, I must have been like 17. No, I was probably 18. So I graduated in 03 and I was 17. I turned 18 that July, and then I went right into college. And it was at college that I tattooed myself. I asked him if I could borrow his tattoo machine. And he actually, he gave me his tattoo machine. And then I tattooed this on my leg. And I was sitting in my dorm room, York Hall at UMO, with a crappy tattoo machine. And, didn't know what I was doing. I'm just dipping
super sterilized, right?
Oh, everything was very sterilized. I mean, now I'm thinking, I was like, I'm pretty sure I was wearing gloves and stuff. It was so long ago. I mean, I'm almost 35 now. But yeah, I did that. And then I remember I went to eat with my mom at Pizza Hut, did the line work on it. And I was wearing shorts and my leg is all like swollen and fresh tattoo on it. And I'm sitting there eating pizza with my mom, this huge tattoo on my leg. And I'm just like, yeah, I just did this on my leg. And she just like, shakes her head at me and all that. And I did like 10 tattoos from the time I was like 17 until 28, I want to say. The last tattoo I did before I took it on is actually trying to do a profession. I tattooed Kimberly here on our kitchen table. This little silhouette kind of outline of a dog and a cat. And oh my God, my nerves and everything. It was so bad. And I love her right to death, but sometimes you're just like, stop being so confident in me. Because she's like, you can do it. You can do it. I'm like, no! This is a needle and permanent ink into my fiance.
Like, yes, I could do it. I can do it, but if I'm off by a little bit, this is going to be on you now. This is not like it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I have to see this. And anytime you're just like, man, I don't really like this, and she never did. But if she was to be like, I don't really like this tattoo, I'd just be like, well, you friggin' made me do it. But yeah, so I did that. And then, so to jump ahead as far as like how it came back full circle with tattooing, like I just didn't care to really be a tattoo artist at all. It was fun. It was a cool idea. And I love that my brother did it, but it was never something that I thought I'd do. And Kimberly had said to me, she's like, I feel like you could do this. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's so different being like, I can do this, and actually being like, okay, I can do this, and making it work. 'Cause there's a lot of steps, obviously. And, like you said, I was doing wood burnings in between there, and the better my wood burnings got, I kept having people say that to me. They're like, I feel like if you could do a wood burning like this, that you could do a tattoo. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the process really isn't the process, other than the wood and the skin, aren't that much different as far as getting your material that you want to use for your reference, stenciling it out on a piece of wood so you have a stencil, a line drawing, and then bringing it to life with your actual artistic ability. Having a steady hand, I think, really helped me, because I got really used to using my pinky as like a anchor point. And because when you're wood burning, you're burning with a super hot tool. And if you're trying to do a nice fancy little soft line, you can't linger, because you're just going to singe it and make like a dot. And so, FedEx guy just showed up like I thought. I think like knowing how to kind of hover over and everything, it really helped transition over to tattooing. And then I was waiting tables like, at Gagan's, and my brother, Brock, he got offered the spot where I work with Sam at Forecastle. And I actually put in a good word for him, because like I said, he never worked in a shop and he always wanted to, and just nobody would take a chance on him. And Sam was looking for somebody. Sorry, I'm super long-winded. It's like a long
No, you're good, man. This is awesome.
He decided to take a chance on Sam. And I think Sam decided to take a chance on Brock. And I think what ended up happening really is that when you actually take it on, and it's not just tattooing anymore. It's like anything that you do as a hobby, and then you take it on as an actual job. And all of a sudden, it's so much more involved,
Mm-hmm.
and it almost sucks the fun out of it. And I think that's what happened to him. It was kind of like knowing that you actually had to set up appointments, build a client base, all that kind of stuff. The job over at Forecastle before me, and he basically all the pressure of everything. I think he just wasn't into it, and it's not for everybody. It's really not.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing about this profession is that a lot of people think, oh, cool, make money off just drawing on people. That's awesome. Let me tell you right now, anybody that's thinking about it, tattooing, and I don't mean this in like a narcissistic way because I have a long way to go. I'm nowhere near as good as I want to be, but tattooing is almost the easiest part about being a tattoo artist. All the other work that comes in there's so many steps that come in. But anyways, let me get back just to finish wrap up like what happened there. But with Brock, when he decided he didn't want to do it, I was still waiting tables, and I was so just like, I kept thinking about it. And I was like, he's going to get somebody to work there. And he kept telling me, he's like, and we were still conversing because he's like, I wish that you tattooed, man. I've seen your wood burn-ins because he's like, I keep either finding tattoo artists that I'm not jiving with, or I'm finding people that I really jive with but aren't tattoo artists. So I was like, well, I might be the perfect option for you. So I actually messaged him and I asked him out to lunch and to give him the whole spiel of why I was wondering if he would show me. And I said, think of me like an investment. I'm new to it, but it's been something I've done. It's been a bug in the back of my ear forever. I know how to do it, and I'm a quick learner. If you just show me and really run me through it and everything and let me do my thing, and anytime I have a question, I'll ask you. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. He showed me the ropes and then let me do my own thing. And then anytime that I had a question about anything, I'd stop, and he'd stop. Sam has always been so amazing about that. He'll stop immediately what he's doing, come right over, help me out, walk me through it. There's been times that he's actually, asked his client, hey, do you mind if we take a break? Washed up, come over, gloved up and everything, and sat down and showed me, what that little piece that I'm just like, I'm trying to do this, but it's coming out like this. Can you help me? And he'll like unlock that little part in my head there. And it's been an awesome relationship that we've had. Sam has become like a brother of mine now, and we work very well together, and it's pretty remarkable the vibe that we've been able to create in that shop there.
And it's funny because like you said about the whole how good he is, I know how good of a tattoo artist in general as he is, first of all. Second of all, he's an unbelievably amazing human being. Like, there's only a few people in this world that I would put Sam in the same category as, because it's just the way he is as a person, how kind he is. He's a gentle giant. Like, this guy, if anyone, no one knows who Sam is, like, he is a presence in a room. He's not just tall. He's a big structure. And
he is
like,
literally just taking like you and making you a 6'10" human being.
It's unbelievable how big he is and how much he's imposing. Because I mean, which is kind of funny. And this is our third podcast, and I've had you on and Josh Moulton on. Josh Moulton's tattoo artist is Sam, and you work with Sam. I went to Sam and I both went to Josh Moulton's bachelor party together. So Sam and I had this other connection too. And actually, Sam's wife is actually going to make our cake for our wedding. So like this weird small world thing. But like when we were doing the Thanos glove and you did the texture at the bottom, and Sam came over when he was done with his tattoo with the client he had, or like in the middle, the guy was getting up, which was a funny story about the guy. We didn't know if he was going to pay or not. Remember that?
Oh, right.
But we walked over. He's like, "Oh man, I love how you do it." And then hearing that from Sam, like, I already know how I trust you, explicitly with my tattoos. I wouldn't see anybody else because I know I've had 2 stellar tattoos so far, and I'm waiting. And I did some sketching on my iPad Pro, so hopefully we'll be able to do the 3rd tattoo from that. But like
2021,
exactly 2022 now at this point, right? But the idea that Sam can come over, knowing how stellar he is at tattooing, how long he's been doing it, owning his own shop, and coming over and going, he could come over and just go, yeah, man, good job, and walk away, which means that it's probably not the best that he wants to see. But if he comes over and goes, oh, I love how you did the specific detail in the tattoo, he means it. He's talking about something that he loved that you did. And it's really gratifying to know that the proprietor of the business and the owner of the business and the lead tattoo artist at Forecastle is the one saying that, that tattoo looks good on you. So now when I go away, I'm like, yeah, Jay loves this tattoo. He's my tattoo artist, but Sam also, who works there, loves my tattoo as well. So it's like, it's just nice to hear that and see that. And one of the, I've been into one other tattoo studio, like in person. I've been into piercing studios and stuff like that, but like the vibe you guys got going on at Forecastle too, it's laid back, but it's also up kept. Like, it's not like this trashy place. It's like all the tattooers. I've actually never met Rob, because Rob's never there when I've been getting tattoos. And so it's just a cool laid back area. It's got a very nice vibe in there. You sit down, and Sam's place out back and your place. And it's just grown over the years too, because I've been there. I got my 2 tattoos, but they were basically, a year apart. I mean, not a year apart, but like, basically a year apart. It was a little over a year apart.
Yeah.
And so in that year, even, it was like, I could see how far you've gone, and I've seen tattoos you've done. The cool thing about Jay here, one of the benefits he has about, tattooing, is you worked in an industry where you talk to people face to face prior to tattooing every day, and you had the regulars. Some of them we both of us are like, could talk off air about how shitty some of these regulars were, and how self-centered they were, and how much we owed them something, but we won't go into that. But just the idea that how many clients are your clients now that used to get beer from you and food from you at Gagan's? You know what I mean? Like, I know
now
at least
like
now I have 10 fingers here, and I can tell you at least probably 10 people that you've tattooed that are connection because you were waiting tables at Gagan's, and they're like, now I want a tattoo. My good friends Mike and Karen have gotten multiple tattoos from you now, and you've had staff at Gagan's you've tattooed. You've had one of the owners, Andy Gagan, you've tattooed. I mean, it's like, it's so this connection that you had. I think that there's a benefit to that Sam probably saw as well, that it might be easier for you. First of all, you're outgoing, and you have your music scene background and your waiting background that brings in talent. That brings in, you're not going to struggle to get customers. That's the point where, like, I know some people, Taylor's sister is a cosmetologist, and it's like, she's 21, graduating from cosmetology school, and then trying to get a seat in a salon and bring your own clients in. It's not that easy unless you know a lot of people. And if you can get those people to come in, and then those people tell people, but I think this tattoo, and the same thing with like Gordon, my barber, I talked about a lot on this podcast, but when Jake started sitting down at his place, and then now Jordan sits down at his, has a spot at Cochran. Gordon's so busy that is able to shuffle people over to the other people too when they call. Like, Gordon doesn't take any new clients right now. He's basically saying, sorry. So if Sam had a long backlog of list of people he wanted to tattoo, but just wanted a tattoo, it didn't matter if it physically came from Sam. At the beginning, he obviously was able to go, hey, Justin wants a tattoo. Go see Jay. Jay has an open slot next week. Or, I mean, Sam doesn't do walk-in Wednesdays when you guys were doing that, right? It was just you and Rob.
It ended up being just me. What happened was, when we first came up with the idea of doing walk-in Wednesdays, Rob was brand new to our shop. And we were really just trying to get his client base up. And then I was down to do those, but Sam was still booked ahead of us. So he was supposed to finish out like a couple weeks of Wednesdays, and then Wednesdays was for walk-in Wednesdays. And then next thing you know, it was like every Wednesday it'd be like, are you tattooing today? He's like, yeah, but not walking Wednesdays. Like, I already have a full day with this. And I'm like, and then Rob just got sick of it. Like, he just didn't enjoy doing walk-ins, so he cut out of it. So then it just became me. And then it just became like, yeah, technically you can get a walk-in today, but I'm only going to get to see like 4 people, so it's not like there could be a line of like 15 people wait, because I just run myself into the ground. But like, Sam got so busy that, yes, he was constantly trickling work down to me. But then I got so busy that then he would just give it all to Rob. But then Rob had all his own clients. So now just Forecastle was just filled to the brim at that point. And then the shutdown happened. And so it basically, because we're all still like, Rob is not new to tattooing by any means, been tattooing 15 years. But because he was so new to the shop, I've been tattooing 3 years, working on my stuff. And Sam is going on like 6 years now. We were all kind of getting to not a peak, but the shop was getting real busy. And then this happened. So I think it happened at almost like the worst time for us because we just.
But then also, if you don't want to do walk-ins now, one of the benefits, you can't do walk-ins likely all summer. You're not going to be able to do walk-ins.
Right.
A, because you won't be able to allow people to walk in. You're going to need an appointment. And B, you already have so many clients to do. So it could be one of those things that just, perfect silver lining that it just kind of fades away with this whole thing that walk-in Wednesday.
But walk-ins were great though. It really was, man, because I'll tell you the reason why there were times that I hated it, but the reason why I liked it because it was my one wild card day. Because with this job, the one thing is that everything is on purpose and everything is like mapped out and everybody's got this big idea and blah, 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 blah. Wednesday was that one day that I could just do a couple infinity symbols, or I might do one really cool traditional lighthouse on somebody, or maybe like a couple on a trip and they've just got back from Bar Harbor and they leave tomorrow and they were hoping they could both get like a pine cone. Like I do miss that part of it. Like I appreciate Walking Wednesdays for that because you never knew who was coming in.
And it's one of those things that, like, if I tell you I want to tattoo in September and we set an appointment and stuff like that, I'll put a deposit down, but like you don't get that until September. At least Walk-In Wednesday is like the tattoo appointment, the tattoo itself, and the funds going into you getting paid for it are all like it's same as me buying a beer at you know what I mean? Like in someone.
Well, and it can be a nice payday too, because you think about like if I did like 6 $100 quick tattoos in a day, then that's a good day. Other than, or I'm sitting and focusing solely on something for 4 or 6 hours, which there are days that I love doing that too, but it's just so different.
So, but that's pretty cool.
Like,
I mean,
you're done with your day, you're not as mentally drained. Like those nice boom, boom, boom kind of days are nice, but the days where you're just locked into something for like 6 hours, at the end of the day, I just like stare at the wall and my brain just shuts off. And then I'm like, oh, it's been like 50 minutes. I should go home.
And you don't live it's not like you live 5 minutes down the street either. You live at least a half an hour away. So it's like, you're not, it's not like, oh, okay, time to go home. It's like, okay, now I got to drive 30 minutes before I get home.
Yeah. That took me a long time to remember that, actually, when I go and like party with my friends.
Yeah.
And like, you have to think about that. You're like, oh man, all right, I'm going to have to get going. Oh, I got to drive a half an hour to go home. That took a while to remember that.
Well, because we're looking for, within the next couple of years, we're going to buy a house and we're looking at like different places. And we have friends in Corinth. So we're like, maybe we'll get closer to Corinth. They have a pool. We'll swim and all that stuff and hang out with them and be out there. But then like part of us, we talked to my friends, Addie and Casey, and they're like, yeah, but then we got like thinking about like after a long day of work, you have to now drive that distance every single day. And I'm like, yeah, but like I've driven it so much now that I feel like 30 minutes in Maine is nothing. Like 30 minutes, like it's not nothing, but it's also not something. It's like, it's just
I will tell
part
you
of life. Like
a 30-minute drive in Maine, like there's an opportunity right there. Like that's a podcast. That's like a mini series or something, because driving, as much as it does kind of suck, my drive's about 25 minutes, but it's almost the perfect amount of time to give me an unwind drive by myself. Crank some tunes. I get to listen to a good half hour of music, think about some stuff in my head, zone, whatever. And you kind of almost do autopilot at that point because you've done that drive so many times.
Yeah.
But I will say that there is some benefit to that nice little time to yourself when you're driving that 25 half hour.
So I live about 25 minutes away from OBC. So it's the same thing for me. It's just in a different spot. So when I think that you live, I'm not obviously some people will know where you live, but where you live it's not to me. I'm like, wow, what the hell? But that's because I live on the other side of Bangor. So it's like, to me, it's like me to drive to your house right now would take me like 45, 50 minutes to get there, which that's my mind. That's why I think it's so far away. But if you're living, Forecastle Tattoos on State Street in Bangor. So it's not that far for you to go home if it's only 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's like a 25-minute drive for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we've been trying to keep these around an hour, but I don't mind doing about an hour and 15. If it says on our timer an hour and 18, but I started it well before JB came on. So, but I'd love to get into just quickly chatting about BCTC, the Bangor Comic and Toy Con, quickly before we get off. I mean, it was fun talking tattoos. I love talking tattoos, and I can't wait. I mean, this thing's amazing. I love it still, and eventually we'll finish Stan Lee, but.
For sure, one of my favorite tattoos I've ever done.
I love it, and honestly, after I've run the Jewel stand for years, but after getting this tattoo done, I've deeply fallen in love with Scotty Young. Like Scotty Young, I mean, Todd McFarlane's been one of my favorite comic book artists of all time, but Scotty Young is to the point where now when I'm looking at his stuff, I'm like, realistic looking, yes, Todd McFarlane could be one of my favorite ones. Like when you look at a person, you're like, okay, that's a person.
Yeah.
But if you think about artsy and cartoony and stuff, along those lines, like Scotty Young is able to make a character look a caricature of a person so well and so smoothly that like his art doesn't even need to be colored. It just straight up ink to me is
you made me fall in love with Scotty Young. I'd never even heard of him until you showed me that, and I fell right in love with it. And then sent that email because I'm still trying to get him up here for you. And I've been talking to his agent and all that. And then to actually even get a compliment from him about it, that he like showed all of his friends at the office the tattoo. That was pretty cool.
And then it was pretty cool now. So we'll transition into some BCTC because he was talking about maybe at some point, obviously the Comic-Con was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago in April. And then
hard to believe, April 24th through the 26th. I said that so many times the last year.
Corona happened. It's easy. My dad's birthday is October 2nd. So for me now, remembering when the new Comic-Con is, I can remember now the 2nd to the 4th because it's my dad's birthday is the first Friday or the first day of it. And so obviously this coming Comic-Con, they have it pretty much, nailed down on what's going to happen for the most part. Things change in small Comic-Cons. Big Comic-Cons, things change too, but it's, small Comic-Cons in Maine, things are very fluid. But so Scotty Young won't be at this one, but hopefully in the future we can try to get him in there. But you guys, so this Bangor Comic-Con is not new, but it's also not super old, but you also haven't owned it the entire lifespan, right? What was
right?
I don't know much. I know some about Comic-Con, but like when did I moved back in 2016, so I don't know.
So I'm trying to think what year now, because it's been, I want to say 5 years. We'll probably be going on 6 years because we had a break. So there was 3 Comic-Cons, 3 comic and toy conventions that Chris McMillan ran. He was the one that first started it. He took Will on as his right-hand man. And then I went that first year with Renfro, and we were all like giddy, just trying to help out. And we got our own passes, and we were all these passes. And we were all like so stupid about it. It's so funny to think about. But they did that. So there was 3 with him, and then he ended up stepping down, selling it to Will. We took a year off. So Will took it over. He tried to get some other people to get in on it with him, but there's a lot of risk. This is a very risky business. He told me about taking it on, and I don't know, it just seemed perfect, and I was all about it, and I jumped on board with him, and he's been absolutely great about it as far as, me being a partner with him. After the last convention, like he like officially made me like a partner. Like I was a partner before, but after we ran that one and everything, he wanted to actually like sign some stuff and make it like official. Because then I actually was like booking my own clients, and there's actually celebrity guests that I'm personally responsible for because I'm the one that signed the contract as opposed to some that Will did. So we did, so it was 3 years, took a year off. So that's 4 years. Year 5 was technically our 4th. And then this would have been year 6 would have been our 5th, but now it's getting pushed to October 2nd. So this is still going to be our 5th comic convention. And we're wondering, and we're hoping, nobody quote me on this, but we're hoping that we're going to be able to do this one and still April to jump back into our normal schedule, because April is such a sweet spot for us. That's why we're a little scared about October. We're very optimistic about it, but it's not it's like not playing on your home turf, you know, like we're so accustomed. April is after tax season. People are still here going to college. There's no there's no Boston, there's no Rhode Island, there's no Florida, with New York. None of those conventions are competing with us. So being in October is a little scary because Rhode Island is November, Boston's August, and everybody is also being pushed. So we might have a lot of conventions there. And the other thing, I don't know, because we have so many of them, because they're so big that they're dropping. Like I was saying to Will, I'm trying to be optimistic too, that we may be a perfect convention for this soft opening kind of world, with the fact that we only bring in typically 6,000 people, as opposed to Boston that brings 30,000 people. We could be more of like a guinea pig kind of thing.
And that's 6,000 people over a span of 3 days too. So it's not like you're 6,000 people at one point at one time, and it's spread out through. I mean, we went this year, and when we went early in the morning, I think on Sunday, and it was good crowd, but I didn't feel even at that point. So at the time now in October, it's going to feel like people want still some space, and the benefit is you guys moving to the actual arena floor too, so there's more space there. So it's like
even more space actually. Yeah, that's true too.
And so there's like that aspect is a really cool part of it. But I like the idea of being able to try to keep it in April. So like you just had to postpone it till October, and then keep it in April so that next year's Comic-Con can still happen. And we know every year in April, you know, and I'm even trying to schedule out guests like tentatively where I want to talk to people. And I was looking at April of 2021, like 2 weeks before Comic-Con, I was like, I got to get Will and Jay on to talk Comic-Con and try to promote that. And then I was like, you know, my friends, John Cassidy, who runs Last Ditch Racing, I was like, in July, he has the New England Forest Rally. So if I can get him in July, so I'm trying to plan these things that hopefully some of these people are postponing things, but hopefully they get back into a spot where it makes it like known that I don't want you guys to have to keep on doing it in October. And you don't want to keep on having to move it.
We don't either. It's not a prime spot for us or anything. So we're going to basically the worst case scenario is that we would have to wait another year to make it land back in April. But April is definitely the time that we want it to be weather-wise and everything. It just works out so well for us. And yeah, it is scary because the only other events that we've done in October were like Bangor Fest, and those were never geared to be big events. So, you know, I don't know. But I'm very optimistic because we've still got like all the same vendors for the most part. A couple people can't make the new date, but for the most part, all the guests, all the comic artists, all the vendors, everybody is still on board. Yeah, I don't know. I
don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but I guess the only thing that really could be a pushback is if, you know, shit's still hitting the fan by then, right? I mean,
I mean, the biggest thing about it is that like if there was no gamble on like becoming basically bankrupt, then we would just have the event, no problem.
Yeah.
It'd be like whatever. If people don't show up, they don't show up. But the fact that there's money involved and the fact that there are guarantees that these guests that we have need to make, so there has to be a number of attendance. Yeah. That's what's scary, is we need people there. But we're living in a world where we're minimalizing how many people can be in an event. So it's just like, I got Kimberly, I surprised her for Mother's Day. I bought these tickets months ago, thankfully, before I wasn't allowed to work anymore. Aerosmith tickets at Fenway in September 18th, Fenway. And she's like, like, COVID has taken the fun out of everything. Like, she's opening up Aerosmith tickets and going, are we still going to be able to go to this? And I'm just like, you have wanted to go see Aerosmith forever. And the COVID sucked the fun right out of that. You know?
Well, Taylor keeps on talking about our honeymoon. We're still hopefully going on our honeymoon in the middle of August to Arizona. You know, as of right now, there's no real reason why we shouldn't. Like, it seems like we're trending towards the part where we're going to be able to do that, but we don't know. It's and one thing we talked about was we might be able to go out there, but what if Governor Mills says when we return, we need to spend 14 days in quarantine because we left the state? Then I'm like, I can't take 3 weeks of work off. That's ridiculous. So thinking about all those aspects of it.
Oh, is it ridiculous? 3 weeks off of work, Justin?
Well, I meant like when we're open, not like, but so, I mean, you got some cool people coming. You got what? Jason Mewes. Who else is coming?
Dude, the Clerks trio, man. I mean, that was like the biggest thing. That was kind of one thing that really hit us right in the nuts about that, is because we were going to be like the third, I think, convention ever to get Dante and Randall together in the same one. Plus, we got Jason Mewes. So we still have them on board. They're still coming, but we don't get to have that claim of like the first ones in New England anymore. But yeah, so Jason Mewes, Jeff Anderson is Randall's real name, and Brian O'Haller and Dante. We've got them coming. We got both Power Rangers, Jason Font and Catherine Sutherland, the red and pink Power Ranger. Judith Hogue has confirmed again. Kevin Eastman.
Yes.
With Ben Bishop and Steve Levine, Jim Lawson, Troy Little, all the Turtles guys, they're going to be there. Dana White. Not Dana White. Dana.
It probably wouldn't be that hard for you guys to get Dana White.
Yeah, right. Honestly. You know how close I came to saying Kevin Smith, which would be awful because so many people want Kevin Smith. But
hey, sell some tickets.
Yeah, Dana. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his last name. I can't believe it. The voice of Master Shake. Mick Foley and Jonathan Frakes are still in the air right now. And I know I'm missing. What else am I missing? Maybe that's all.
Star Trek. You guys, isn't there someone from Star Trek?
Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah,
Star Trek.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah,
and Mick Foley. But either way,
but the full list is on Bangor Comic-Con, comicandtoycon.com, right? I mean, you can go there, or the Facebook page or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you want to figure that out.
Anybody that wants to keep involved with us, we are doing our own web series Wednesdays and Saturdays. Tomorrow night, we're doing like a cosplay one with the people that run the cosplay for our convention. Saturday this week, we're not doing one because Judith Hogue actually is hosting a pizza party virtual on YouTube that night, May 23rd. So they're going to be watching the movie, and she's supposedly got actors and everybody from the movie because this is the 30-year anniversary.
That's awesome.
And then next Wednesday, May 27th, we have the co-creator of Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman, along with Ben Bishop and Troy Little, that are going to be joining us. And that is live on our BCTC Facebook page.
And the cool thing about those, Kevin Eastman and Ben Bishop, I don't know. I know those two are from Maine, but the cool thing is it's like this New England, or not Maine, but New England, because Kevin Eastman's from New Hampshire, right? Or lived in New Hampshire when he created Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. His
family's in Maine. He worked in Maine.
Yeah.
He created it in New Hampshire.
So it's a New England tie, though, which is really cool that we get to claim that, as Mainers and New Englanders, that,
and Peter
one of the
Laird
greatest cartoons. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
The other creator.
Yep. So the idea that we have that we obviously have some pretty good artists from Maine anyway. I mean, Paul Pelletier lives in Maine, and there's some people who have worked on some big projects that live in Maine or from Maine, which are pretty cool. But I know Ben Bishop, we've been watching some of his like drawing stuff online during this COVID situation. I was just showing Jay earlier. I got Aggregate, his book here too, and I got The Lost Trail. So that's pretty cool. And then you got Kevin Eastman, who's like world renowned because he created one of the greatest comic book characters and for some people movie characters that has ever walked the earth. That it's just awesome to see it.
Not going away anytime soon.
Yeah. And the time that you're actually going to be able to speak to him and have a conversation and have people watch. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if
super
he's one of
down
the
to
most
earth.
watched streams. I mean, there's no question. And I've been on twice. It's been fun.
You've been a great guest. We've got a couple other good guests lined up. We've got Cooper Andrews, who plays Jerry on The Walking Dead. He's planning on coming on an episode, and we're getting him with Moses Mosley, who is one of Michonne's pets from the show. And he was in The Watchmen, and he was on Queen of the South, I think. He's been in a couple things. I just got confirmation from Lou Temple. He's going to do one with us. We just haven't picked a date. Josh, who is the voice of Roadhog from Overwatch, he's going to do an episode with us. So we've got some good stuff lined up. I know that closer to the convention, the Clerks guys have all agreed to do one, but they said that they prefer to do it closer to the event, so it's more like promoting.
Emotional, yeah, it is. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty remarkable just to even think that we've got these people coming on and just talking with them, just hanging out.
And you mentioned it's very like cathartic for a lot of these people. For a lot of these people who are like myself, who like we were camping and I still pull it up on my phone because it's something to just connect with it. It's like the way to connect with people in a way that's like it seems like also now that you guys have done a few, every time I log on there and see the comments, it's all of the same people coming on and watching, which is kind of cool because it's like, okay, every Wednesday and Saturday night I've got my people to talk to, hang out with, watch some guests. This last week's the video games was unbelievable. The best thing is when you can have a group of people who all like to talk. I mean, everyone liked to talk, and they were all very well versed, and they knew their avenue. It was a very good one. I liked watching that one on Saturday night. Is it just wrapping it up here? But is this something you're hoping to plan to basically continue doing? Maybe it goes down to once a week as you get closer because guests might be less and you have to go back to work at some point. But is it the idea to keep it going?
Yeah, I'm thinking that it started out as just kind of a fun thing, but it's really kind of grown. I think the hardest thing that we will run into is guests, continuously having something to fill. That's why, like, even when Lou said that he would jump on, Will was like, well, should we add him in on like the Walking and make it like a Walking Dead one? I'm like, well, I like where your head's at, but we don't have a ton of guests. So, we also, Lou is known for a ton of other stuff from the Walking Dead. So I'd hate to, over talk somebody or something like that during it. So we're going to try to spread them out. But I mean, I think we'd like to keep it going as long as we can. Will just uploaded everything on a YouTube channel, and we're going to do the same thing as you as far as just offering the audio on a podcast type thing. Because we did have a couple people that are way more used to listen to podcasts. So they were like, it's a little easier for me to listen to a podcast than it is to watch a video of it. So we have those options. And if people want to keep listening to us and have us talk to people about different things, and, to me, I personally love it because it's like sitting at the bar with my friends, having a beer and just talking. And after that first episode, Michael Kingston, who does, oh my God, The Buckle. Oh my God, I'm drawing such a blank. He does comic series, WWE, Headlocked, my God.
Okay.
Headlock. He messaged us after it, and this is a guy that hangs out with Ric Flair and Kevin Nash and these guys and does comics, and Jerry Lawler does the artwork for his comics, and he messaged us after and said, thank you so much for having me on. You have no idea how much it helped me mentally, during everything that's going on. Anytime you guys want me to come back on, I'd love to come back on. So that right there, we're like, that was it. We were like, okay. So apparently people enjoy this, and like, I totally get it. Like, I need it at this point, talking with you and doing this. It gives me an opportunity, and it's almost kind of sad at this point because as soon as we press off and I'm just sitting in my room and I'm like,
at least you got tomorrow night, right? I mean, well, we're recording this on a Tuesday. This will be out Wednesday, so it will be tonight, quote unquote. But like, at least you've got something to look forward to in that aspect. And even if you went down to a day, like a weekly show, and then as you get through the summer, by the time you get to about mid-August, end of August, you're going to want to do promotion for the con. Like right now, you're just talking to some people that have been on previous cons, getting some people that are coming. But like, as you get closer, you're going to do that promotional circuit where it's like, you're getting people to come on and, hey, this is a Comic-Con that needs to be paid for. Like, you don't have the money to just put on a non-profit Comic-Con. So you need to sell tickets for people that, like we talked about a second ago, that you need to sell tickets for people to become like, and as you grow it, the bigger guests will get. I mean, obviously the guests that you have now are a lot different than the guests they had 6 years ago. Excuse me. But so they could be that getting someone like the Clark's people to come on to Expire could boost your ticket sales, which would be huge. And so it's going to be this transition that you're going to just chit-chatting to the point where you're just basically doing, it could be a 15, 20-minute show, but just enough to get someone out there to talk to someone and see someone live, do a question and answer where you literally just get questions from people.
And even like, I noticed that just when we did trivia, like when we threw trivia in there, every question almost opened up another whole avenue of like something to talk about. So I think that, like you said, we could shorten it even if we do it once a week, but or maybe like I said to Will, is like, do what we've got, and then if we need to, it goes down to a lull, we say we're taking a break, and then we're going to kick it back up to start promoting, and we'll do the same thing. We'll bring on different guests. We'll talk about what's going on, and I think if anything, it's really just going to help our convention now feel way more tangible and like something that you're part of. Like, we'll do Q&A, for the upcoming event. Like we'll do an episode just about regulations and stuff for our event now that things have changed. You got questions, let's address them right there live, so I think there's plenty of opportunity for that.
And I think it's a lot of times people need something to just have this outlet, but also keep people in the forefront. Like I think about Comic-Con when I go to Comic-Con, and then I think about it again when you guys announce like the main people months later.
Yeah.
And then I think about it again when I go to buy tickets or whatever. And then I don't think about it again until April comes along.
Right.
But right now,
right.
I think about Bangor Comic and Toy Con every week, multiple times a week. So now it's in my mind, like, okay, now I have to, like, I want to watch this thing. And, and maybe it just grows some fans that have never been and they take a chance to come and support you guys come October, because that would be huge for, I mean, it's huge for Bangor. There's not much cool stuff anymore. I mean, there are shows and concerts in the summertime, but like, we used to play in the music industry and do shows. There's not much of that anymore, even prior to COVID. And so having something like a Comic-Con, which, you always think of San Diego or Boston or New York, but having these small, like rural community-based Comic-Cons are huge. Anybody who's thinking about going to one and wants to go to one, I highly encourage you to go to one. Honestly, if you just go there and say hi to a few people and sit in the corner and just watch the people, there's eclectic number of groups of people. There's older people, younger people, kids. I mean, it's just
the percentage of people that go to a convention and end up having a great time is like 99%.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, how many times do you hear people like, man, I'd never been to one of these. This is awesome. It's usually you don't hear people be like, man, I don't understand what all the fuss is about. This is dumb.
Yeah. And you don't, and honestly, I won't say don't go to Boston, because you've gone to Boston multiple times. Don't go to San Diego. Don't go to New York. But what I'm saying is that you'll get more out of going to Bangor Comic and Toy Con than you will go to Boston. Jay could tell you some stories. We could be on this for another hour telling you stories about experience of meeting these amazing people. And there's only a fraction of those amazing people we were like, this was amazing. When you met Jeff Goldblum, that was really cool experience for you. But like you said about Stan Lee, they basically shuffled you in there behind them and
cattle
took a
herding,
picture.
man.
And then it's like actually being able to me to communicate. We talked about on the first time I was on the BCTC web stream, was I talked about meeting Cooper Andrews. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had meeting anybody. And I don't think I would have gotten that same experience at a massive Comic-Con. And so when you go to these more grassroots Comic-Cons like Jay and Will are trying to put on in Bangor, you get an overall better bang for your buck. You're getting the experience. You're getting all that for, it's not that expensive to go to. You're not paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars to go see tens of thousands of people and quickly get to stand next to a celebrity and move on. I mean, I've been to some Comic-Cons in Massachusetts. There was one near my house in Andover that I got to meet, George Perez, famed Infinity Gauntlet cover artist, who I on the wall in my room right here. I have a hand sketched with Sharpie signed George Perez one-off that he made for me. That honestly was one of the best
at the convention.
Yeah, at the convention, it was $40. He signed all of my comics that I brought. So I have another one actually. This right here is signed by George Perez.
Yeah.
All of my comics, he drew that for me and took a photo for $40.
Wow.
Not those same experiences I can't guarantee you that will happen at Bangor. But I bet if you went to Boston, he probably charges more at Boston than he does at a rural con. So you're actually, people who live in the greater Bangor area and all of Maine and even up to Canada, you have a better chance of having a better experience coming to a rural con than you are going to one that's like this massive 30,000 person con, because there's just so many moving pieces. Like, I mean, you see you guys, you don't see the creators of Boston Comic Con walking around. Like, you see you guys actually doing things. Like, when I left the con this year, I went to say hi to you guys and like said, hey, Will, hey, see you later. We're going to head out. And we took off. So it was really nice to see like that it's not just you owning a con, sitting back on your big throne, watching the thing happen. You're actually doing things and making sure things are moving. So definitely recommend going to con. We'll put all the information on how to get tickets and how to like follow them and the web series in the post for this. We'll also tell you how to follow Jay's Forecastle Tattoo Instagram, see some of the work he's done. And I'll write in the post, I've already had some of it written. Likely, if you want to get a tattoo from Jay, give him some time after this happens. like contact him maybe in the fall to set up something. But just be patient with him and the rest of the guys at Forecastle Tattoo. I know I'm being patient. I have some work getting ready to be done, and I don't want to rush him into it, obviously. But we've gone along enough. I think we could probably wrap it up now, and you can get back to being lonely. And
sounds good. As soon as I turn
I'm
this
sure
off,
Miles getting ready to get up from a nap, or is he already up?
No, he'll be down for like another hour. He takes like a good 3-hour nap, like 1 3-hour nap a day. It's like
his dad?
my 3 hours.
Is that like his dad? You take your 3-hour nap after him, or is it?
I used to, man, but we've been ordering so much stuff online because we're so friggin', we don't go to stores anymore that the UPS guys keep like, the FedEx guy the UPS just showed up while we were talking too, and I'm just like, oh my God, of course.
Oh yeah, I forget what I ordered. I'm waiting for deodorant. I ordered deodorant. It was supposed to be here Saturday, and it's lost somewhere. So now I'm like, now I have to like either just man it up or like go up to the store and buy some. I'm like, I don't want to go to the store.
You're gonna have to go in a store, man.
But maybe I'll go to IGA and see our also former coworkers, Melinda and what's his name, Brandon Kenny, who owns it now. But like,
wait, Melinda's over there now?
Yeah, Melinda works over there. She's working like a couple hours a week or something. So, I think she's working more now because Gagan's is closed. Yeah. But I think she's working like 60-hour weeks. Like, how she works.
Oh,
and
nice.
And she's working over there. So, but yeah. Nice. So yeah, we'll list everything on Facebook and stuff or on the post in both the YouTube video and on our website. But you can follow us. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, now Google Podcasts, and Stitcher, and Podbean, and basically anywhere you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to me speak and ramble on, which is pretty cool. So thanks for joining us, Jay, or joining me, Jay. I mean, it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
I love to talk things that I'm passionate about, but also other people are passionate about.
I know that's the thing about these. Like, we could talk for another hour easily about all that stuff.
I ran out of seltzer water. And my throat's starting to dry out because I'm talking so much. So I think I need to end this before I start coughing and having a fit on a podcast.
The timer right there, 1 seltzer water.
Exactly. So at least it wasn't beer this time, right? I thought we were doing a podcast in the afternoon. I should probably at least wait until after the podcast to have a beer. But thanks for joining us, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Talk to you later, man.
Later.